All right, so I listened to two albums by Primus, one yesterday and one today. I was gonna listen to both of them yesterday, but they're both an hour long, and I just couldn't really be bothered listening to 2 hours of albums in one day. It's just like I just really thought it'd be better if I listened to one, one day and then the other one day. Just kind of give like a break in between. It's like I don't want to listen to like one Primus album and another Primus album like right after. Probably would have been better if I wanted to get the video out quicker, but making the video today, and both of the albums we're gonna be talking about in this video are Antipop and frizzlefry. They're both really good albums. I both really like them a lot. Personally, I would pick frizzlefry over Antipop because I did listen to frizzlefry like way longer ago. I do go way back with frizzlefry more, and I just kind of like the vibe of it more. I think it suits Primus like more. But each album, but like Antipop is also really good. I don't think there's any misses or anything on like both of those albums. They're both solid songs, solid lineups. Frizzlefry I think is better because in my opinion, I personally prefer it because it's more chaotic, it's more cartoony. I think on the album, Les Claypool, he shows like his personality more. The instruments go like so much more wacky, like to defy the laws of tradition. Like towards the end of that, they just like start going crazy. And then Groundhog's Day, he just seems like he's having a little bit too much fun. He's being goofy goober, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be his day. He's talking about like apple pie and toothpaste and shit like that. I don't know, his singing, I will say though, on Antipop, his singing is a lot more better than on Frizzlefry. And on Antipop, I'm not gonna lie, when I listen to Antipop, you could like understand every lyric he like says, or like you could really hear like all his lyrics in all of his songs. On Frizzlefry, I'd really say you like would probably come for the instruments more than on Antipop, but the instruments on Antipop are still really good. There's like at the start of the final voyage of the liquid sky, it's like at the very start of it, sounds like a spaceship is about to land and abductors drop off Mr. Bean or something, and it like does like this thing with the bass. I don't know how he done this with the bass. I don't know what sort of like out of space fucking pedal he used or what effect he used on his bass, but he kind of like does this thing with the bass where it kind of sounds like his lips are popping or some shit, kind of like this. Like, it kind of sounds like that a little bit. It's like I don't know. It kind of does sound like liquid. I don't know how he's still done that. Also on Antipop leans kind of more into like the heavier side of Primus. It's more like it's probably their heaviest album. More their like thrash album. There are like two songs actually. There are parts in Power Mad and Mama Didn't Raise No Fool. They both there's sounds in that part that kind of remind me of like Rage Against the Machine. I think this most cartoony song on Antipop, although it is a pretty heavy song, it is a pretty a song where they're most locked in on this album. Ballad of Bodacious is probably like a song that's probably the closest thing that would like suit on Frizzlefry. Like the closest thing to Frizzlefry on this song. It's like, look out for Bodacious! Who's gonna hold him down? He sounds really cartoony and shit. He sounds like he's having fun singing that song. And then like Coattails of a Dead Man, I like that one a lot as well because Coattails of a Dead Man is basically like, it reminds me of Jack Sparrow. He's had a bit too much to sip and then he's like on the pirate ship with like a pirate crew and they're all drunk and shit and they're just sailing through the seas, scouting out other shits to rob. And this song and the lyrics and shit, just kind of give me that vibe. And one thing on these albums that each song will sound like completely different from one another, which I think is pretty cool. It keeps it fresh and more unique. Primus in general are a pretty unique band, and I will say Frizzlefry does sound kind of like more progressive and more unique in my opinion. But each album is unique in its own way. My favorite actually songs on both of these albums would probably be. Let's see. I really like Dirty Drowning Man. I'm a man. I'm not a dirty drowning man. I really like how like it comes in really fast and shit. He sings really quickly. I like Electric actually at the start of it. There's like you can hear like ghostly children or whatever, and it's like some guy who's just like Les Claypool who's like singing about how he doesn't want to be here. He wants to be really quiet at home. He wants to be like at home. He's like singing really softly, kind of like a ghost. Is like, I don't want to be here. I can't remember the lyrics, but he's like singing really low and shit like that. He does have some vocal range, I'm not gonna lie. And then there's actually if you get Antipop on a CD, there's actually a secret song, which isn't a really secret song because it's on the album on Spotify. But Heckler's on it, and I like the start of Heckler where it sounds like it reminds me of like Mickey Mouse, or reminds me of like, I don't know, Cuphead, the Idon mission where you're just like bopping up and down, just like, waiting to fucking finger blast someone with his blue Tic Tac weapon. I really like that vibe. It also like in a Heckler, it does remind me at the start where it's like playing through like an old monogram or something. It has like a really kind of old sounding sound, and I think that's pretty cool. Like I do like I know Les Claypool really likes like cartoons and all, so he's really good at doing like the kind of like cartoony kind of sound, and I also really like cartoons as well. So it kind of works. I really fuck with it as well. Natural Joe would probably be the one that kind of has like a kind of more darker kind of like serious, or kind of like a darker kind of sound to it. And he's like talking about like Natural Joe being a son of a bitch, and then both songs I probably like know the most, or probably first heard from is I heard Lacquerhead on Antipop. That's really good. Lacquerhead sets his skull on fire, puffing off fags of gasoline, bro. He's just like snoring a can of gasoline instead of putting it in the car. He's just putting it up his nostrils. And then Too Many Puppies. I remember I got shown that like in TY, and I really like the start. It's like I like it when Primus do that thing. It's like they kind of do that in some of their songs in frizzlefry. It sounds like someone stomping, like your dad's gonna beat you, or it just sounds like pretty heavy. Some of the songs actually though, I will say Antipop focuses more on like the kind of speediness as well. A lot of these songs are pretty speedy, or some of these songs are pretty speedy. Electric Uncle Sam is also a pretty good one. Electric Uncle Sam and the Ballad of Audacious, I'd probably say, are ones where he sounds like both cartoony, because Electric Uncle Sam, and he's like talking about get your fingers out of my pie, or else I'm gonna put my finger in you, and you're gonna die if you mess with me. He will sound like somewhat cartoony on some of the songs on Antipop. And then John the Fisherman, a song that I really like actually on this album is Toys Go Winding Down. I really like the bass actually on Toys Go Winding Down. Then there's like a part in Toys Go Winding Down where it's like it sounds like they're on a boat and like in the middle of the sea, and then a shark is just like circling them around and be like, right, so which person am I gonna like eat? Is like he's just circling, find out which person he's gonna feast on. He really is able to do like really cool stuff with his bass. And a Spaghetti Western, I will say Spaghetti Western on frizzlefry probably sounds like the most kind of. For Spaghetti Western probably has like the least singing on it, but the singing on frizzlefry really isn't as good enough. Frizzlefry is not really taking the singing seriously, but I still fuck with frizzlefry. I fuck with frizzlefry more than Antipop. But the singing on Antipop is much better. So if you're gonna listen to Primus for the singing, then Antipop. But really, Primus, I feel like they're way better in like sort of the vibe they create and how they're crazy and how they're wacky and all, and how cartoony on their instruments are really good. Spaghetti Western is like the most like punkist or rock kind of sounding one. It's basically just like a big long ass instrumental, and like all the instruments are going in, and it really just does really sound funky. I would say on some of the songs, Primus are able to really sound like, kind of give off that like kind of punky kind of sound, and they're also like they're able to sound like kind of punky on some songs, and they're able to sound like funky, and then on some songs on frizzlefry they're able to like sound like cartoony, like they don't really give a shit. They do take it a lot more serious on Antipop. I will say it's it definitely is more aggressive in terms of like Primus. It's not aggressive as in like thrash metal. It's not as heavy, but for like Primus standards, Antipop will probably be like the heaviest album they have. There's like every song here is really good. Greet the Sacred Cow actually is also probably one that's like probably the closest to like a cartoony or whatever, because it's like it's one of those least serious ones on Antipop, because at the start of the song it's just something you might as well. It's like and then it's like some guy saying assalamu alaikum. For some reason it's about to say Allahu Akbar. I thought the kid was gonna say that, and then he just says he was a real religious shit, and then it goes into the song. Actually, this is a song I forgot to mention as well. On Greet This Sacred Cow, there's like I don't know how this was the bass at the start. I don't know what Les was doing with the bass that he made it sound like this, but at the start he just like kind of made it sound like so unique and so like weird and like trippy. It sounded like, I don't even know. It didn't even sound like a bass. It sounded like he's tapping one of those like drum things where you like, it's like a kind of metal drum. It's not. I don't know what it's called, but it's like it kind of just like some weird, unique sound. I think it was used to like make part of the soundtrack in like Minecraft, and it's like where you basically tap lightly with your finger and it makes like this cool kind of echoey, reverby sound. I don't know how he was doing that with his bass. I didn't even think it was his bass at the start of Beat the Sacred Cow. I was thinking, what is that? Just like, must be like some instrument. It must be like some pedal or some like effect that he's using. And like Les can go really crazy with the bass. I swear I never heard anyone else play the bass like Les. But yeah, those are like two albums that I really like by Primus. I'm just trying to see if there's any other songs I can talk about. Actually, Mr. Know-It-All. Mr. Know-It-All is also another tune. I'm just saying, I'm basically just like glazing both these albums. There's not a single skip on any of these albums. I'm not gonna lie. All of them are bangers. They're not all songs. Some of them are just like interludes. Like on frizzlefry, I have all these songs liked. You Can't Kill Michael Malloy and To Defy. They're both just interludes. But other than that, there's like a bunch of other songs. Skinny Constantinople. It sounds like probably one of the darker ones and one of the kind of crazier ones as well. Towards the second half in Frizzlefry. Constantinople, here I come, Constantinople. That's basically how it goes at the second part. It like goes from like talking about like some guy called like Skinny. He lived like in a bathtub and he sell drugs like every night. And then it just goes like into that kind of craziness. My fucking CD box had the CD fell out. I'm trying to look for a song actually on this booklet where there's like a second part or it's like goes crazy. Electric, yeah. Electric. This kind of caught me off guard when I was first listening to this. When it go after like I think I'm blinded by the sun. That actually reminds me of something. I was on the train with one of the boys and we were going to Dublin, and then the sun was literally in the eye. And we were listening to a queue and this song's in it. And then when this part came on, the sun was literally fucking beaming its light into my retinas and just, burning me, bro. It was literally blinding me. I should have brought in like some shades, like, some eye protection. It was such a coincidence, such perfect timing. But yeah, something that surprised me is that after in the second part of Electric, it just like it just speeds up. It's like the bass started, just like, pick up the pace. It started to, go a bit crazy, and it kind of caught me off guard. And yeah, I really like it when Primus do that as well. I like it when bands do that in general, when they just like catch you off guard. So yeah, I don't think I have any more else left to say about both of these albums. Both of these albums are great. It's just one of them are more heavier and serious than the other, and this one's more wacky and goofy and cartoony. But yeah, I love them both. Primus is a great band in general. And yeah, that's just me talking about Antipop and Frizzlefry. See you later.